Today in Locked On Red Wings, Detroit heads out west, and FanDuel Sports heads to Amazon Prime.
You're Locked On Red Wings, your daily podcast on the Detroit Red Wings. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to the Locked On Red Wings podcast. We are your hosts, Brian Fisher and Scotty Bentley. Scotty's over at Locked On Tigers, as well as a freelance journalist for the Detroit News, while I am the color commentator for Oakland University D1 Hockey. Scotty, we got a little bit of a kind of assortment of topics in today's episode. We want to talk about the California road trip as a whole coming up here this weekend and into Monday, as well as preview the individual games against the Ducks and Kings, and then finish off talking a little bit about the move for FanDuel Sports to Amazon Prime and how that will affect you, the listener. So before we can get to any of that, I need to let you guys know today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. You can start the season with a big return on FanDuel. New customers can place a $5 bet, and you'll get up to $150 in bonus bets if you win that first $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com today to get started. Scotty, the first thing we want to talk about here, because it makes more sense kind of to talk about the California road trip on the macro level before diving into the games as they are individually. You know, the California road trip last season was when the Detroit Red Wings hit their stride. Last season, it happened in January. This is November, so it's 2 months earlier. But going out west when the team was struggling and playing two bottom feeder teams, as well as, I believe, beating LA in that as well. I think they swept the California road trip last year, really gave the team confidence, and it carried for all of January and into February before things finally began to fall apart. So the question becomes here, going into another similar road trip where those two bottom feeder teams really haven't improved all that much in San Jose and Anaheim, and still playing a solid team, second in the Pacific Division, LA Kings. What's our expectation for outcome for the Detroit Red Wings coming out of this road trip?
Yeah, what's interesting is this is actually that's 2 years in a row that the West Coast road trip has been, or the Cali road trip has been, like a huge catalyst for success. 2 seasons ago, they went on that huge win streak and then played Ottawa and got the doors blown off them, and then it all came crumbling down right around the trade deadline. But that's 2 years in a row that they went on a West Coast road trip, and it really got them back into the mix. So obviously, we would love for that to continue to be a trend. And if you can do that in November, that would be, I think, much more encouraging of an outlook kind of the rest of the season, and get you back, into the thick of things, or even the upper half of the division there pretty quickly, because it's still early enough in the year. So, yeah, obviously we're hoping for the same success that they have found in these road trips over the last couple of seasons. But I think the biggest thing for me is, like you, man, I don't want to say any game is must win in November, because it's not. I just covered a Tigers team that was almost 10 games under 500 in the middle of August and made the playoffs. A game in November isn't necessarily a must win or lose. You can always go on a run type of thing, but it's going to be really hard to justify losing to San Jose and Anaheim at the end of this if they do that, especially with how much improvement we have seen in the 5-on-5 play over the last 3 games. I think that you're hoping that momentum carries over, and they go into this, at least taking 4 points, honestly, from San Jose and from Anaheim, and then you set yourself up for, you have a little bit of cushion when you play the Kings.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. As you put it, this is the NHL. Any team can beat any other team on any given day. But at the same time, the expectation going into this road trip should absolutely be 4 out of the 6 possible points. Because Anaheim, that had another high draft pick this last year. Obviously, the Sharks got the number 1 overall with Macklin Celebrini. Those guys, the players they drafted, aren't the savior. In fact, Anaheim's kind of regressed. A couple of years ago when Trevor Zegras broke onto the scene, it felt like they were heading in the right direction.
Team at New Year that season, they got off to a crazy start and then collapsed and haven't recovered. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Troy Terry, we'll get into it in our actual preview, but Troy Terry is really the only one, carrying water with that hockey team right now. They've definitely regressed. They don't look they look far worse than they should for a team this many years into their rebuild.
There are legitimate questions about trading Zegras at some point. Like, that's how slow their rebuild has gone, is that they are already debating taking players that were drafted in the same rebuild. That's I call that pulling a Detroit Tigers. That's where the Tigers were toward the end of until their recent found success, right? Like that, you don't want to ever be in the position where you are trading away players that you got at the start of the rebuild you're currently in. That you're probably taking too long. So, and obviously that organization is run by some former wings. So.
Absolutely. I mean, the Trevor Zegras had 65 points in 81 games 2 years ago when he gave Sider a run for his money at the, or is it 3 years ago now, run for his money in the Calder Trophy race. Obviously, Sider ultimately got it. But since then, like last year, he only had 15 points in 31 games. Granted, that was small sample size. That's a half point per game. So production prorated across 82, my favorite thing to do, would have been in the 40s, which would have been a 20-point dip if he had played the full 82. This year, he's only got 3 points in 15 games played. That's crazy. I mean, at least Raymond's not scoring goals, but he's getting a lot of assists. He's leading the team in points just on assists alone, so he's still producing something, even if he's not scoring. So, like, when it comes to the Ducks, like, that's a must-win. And I understand that they can lose, and they might make it up by beating an opponent they shouldn't beat later on. Like, maybe they beat the Kings instead, or somewhere down the line. But, like, going into that game, the expectation is absolutely to beat the Ducks. I would say the Kings, I know at the start of the month we had that conversation, right, where I'm like listing out like what games are you shouldn't lose, which games are winnable, and which games will be difficult to win. The Kings is one I listed as difficult to win. Kings are, after kind of a slow start, have really picked things up. They're second in the Pacific Division. I think they're like 9-6-1 or something along those lines.
Really good young talent too, man.
Yeah, the Kings seem to, like, they had a couple years where they weren't very good after their 2012 and 2014 Cups, and then they've surged back.
Byfield a while to get going too. I mean, he was so highly regarded and got off to a slower start to his career, but really turned it around. So.
Yeah, it's a team that just continues to stick around and stay pretty solid, so that's going to be a tough one. But then the Sharks, again, like, even with Macklin Celebrini, that's a huge get. Now they got Jake Wallman, who's back in the lineup, I believe. I'd have to double-check on that. That's on Monday. That's another game I fully expect you to be able to win. They started the season 9 straight losses. They've gotten better since. They've started to pick up and win some games, but they're still not a good hockey team. So this is a team, and the Detroit Red Wings, who have playoff aspirations, who should absolutely go out there and win. So 4-point minimum, I'm right there with you, is what I expect the Red Wings to get, especially if they want to themselves stay in the mix, because you're only at 500. Like, you're a point outside of the wild card picture. And I know it's early yet, and you say it yourself, like, it's early, so you don't want to say anything's a must-win, but every game matters too.
For sure.
So they don't play 162 games. They play only 82, which is still a lot. A lot of room left, but you got to pick up these points against teams that you're supposed to beat.
For sure, especially because it's a limited amount of games against like these bottom feeders, right? Mm-hmm. Like you're not in the same division as San Jose. You don't get them as often you know what I mean? So like you have to take advantage and pounce all over those. You're absolutely right.
Imagine being in the Pacific Division and getting to play against the Ducks and the San Jose Sharks 3 to 4 times a season each. My goodness, that's helpful.
That'll help.
Yeah, and we're going to take a quick break. When we return, we'll break down the Ducks and the Kings games independently. Then we'll talk about FanDuel Sports in Segment 3. So stay tuned to Segment 3 of Locked On Red Wings. Got to talk to you guys today about Mint Mobile. I love a great deal as much as the next guy, but I'm not going to crawl through a bed of hot coals just to save a few bucks. It has to be easy. No hoops, no BS. So when Mint Mobile said it was easy to get wireless for $15 a month with the purchase of a 3-month plan, I called them on it. Turns out it really is that easy to get wireless for $15 a month. The longest part of the process was that the time I spent on hold waiting to break up with my old provider. To get started, Go to mintmobile.com/LockedOnNHL. There you'll see that right now, all 3-month plans are only $15 a month, including the unlimited plan. All plans come with the high-speed data and unlimited talk and text delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. You can use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and bring your phone number along with all your existing contacts. Find out how easy it is to switch to Mint Mobile and get 3 months of premium wireless service for $15 a month. To get this new customer offer and your new 3-month premium wireless plan for just $15 a month, go to mintmobile.com/LockedOnNHL. That's mintmobile.com/LockedOnNHL. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/LockedOnNHL. $45 upfront payment required, equivalent to $15 a month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Speeds slower above 40 gigabytes on unlimited plan. Additional fees, taxes, and restrictions apply. See Mint Mobile for details. Also need to talk to you guys today about Omaha Steaks. Nothing delivers comfort and joy quite like the unrivaled quality and taste of Omaha Steaks. This year, skip the holiday hustle and bustle and save 50% off gourmet gifts site-wide at omahasteaks.com. Plus, get a $30 reward card when you shop early and score an extra $30 off with promo code NHL. With 5 generations of experience, they consistently deliver the world's best steak experience, and the gifting experts at Omaha Steaks have made it easier to deliver the perfect gift with thoughtfully curated gift packages starting at $89.99. From legendary steaks to mouthwatering desserts and more, save 50% off site-wide at omahasteaks.com. Plus, our listeners get an extra $30 off with promo code NHL and a $30 reward card when you shop early. That's 50% off at omahasteaks.com and an extra $30 off with promo code NHL. Minimum purchase may apply. Segment 2, Locked On Red Wings podcast. Scotty, the Red Wings play the Ducks first and foremost on Friday. That is a pretty late game, and thankfully it's on a Friday. God bless that their West Coast road trip, the first of 2 at least, takes place mostly over the weekend. Makes us with day jobs lives a lot easier. And as we stated, right, in segment 1, this is not a good Anaheim Ducks team. They've seemed to have kind of regressed since a couple years ago when they looked like they were on the right path. They're 5-8-2. They're last place in the Pacific Division. Trevor Zegras already noted, only 3 points in 15 games. They're led by Troy Terry with 11 points in 15 games played. Mason McTavish at 8-13. Leo Carlson at 7-15. And goaltending for them, it is Lucas Dostal. Having actually a really strong season for the Anaheim Ducks. A .922 save percentage. It's crazy that with a .922 save percentage being one of the best goaltenders in the league in this early season, they only have 5 wins to show for it. Like, I feel for that goaltender. As a Red Wings fan who watches goaltenders try to put the team on their back night in and night out, I feel for Lucas Dostal. But, Scotty, Anaheim Ducks, what you got on them? I know you're a big Ducks fan.
This offense is an atrocity. It is really the big takeaway. They have gotten, like you said, really solid goaltending, and I'm not going to say the defense is good because I don't think that would be an accurate statement. But because they have received really good goaltending, they have not allowed very many goals. Would you look at that? So they're like middle of the pack in a lot of the goals against type of statistics, but they are, I'm not kidding. Like, it's not like, oh, their offense isn't, very good, but they can hold their own. They're 32nd in a handful of offensive stats, just straight up goals for a game. They're in dead last. Power play, they're 31st. Face-off percentage, a favorite here. They are 32nd. Their penalty kill is also 29th, so I guess really just kind of, again, that's a testament to, like, it's more goaltending than good defense. Both special teams really brutal. This is a bad hockey team still that has just gotten bailed out sometimes by some really good goaltending. So if you can, avoid getting goalied and put the puck in the net a couple of times, you're probably okay. Even though you are on the road on a big road trip over to the west side of the country. This is legitimately just straight up one of the worst, if not the worst, offense in hockey.
Yeah, I mean, they're 30th in the league in expected goals for percentage at 5-on-5. They're top 5 in expected goals against, as in the most expected goals given up.
Right.
They're
So
top
not,
five.
again, not
Yeah,
good defensively.
not good. They're top 5 in shot attempts against. So again, not good defensively, and then offensively, like it's just not there either. And they're also banged up too. Cam Fowler's out until at least November 15th, so that's today. By the time you're listening to this, he could come back. Mason McTavish is listed as day-to-day. Robbie Fabry, notably, with a lower body injury, is expected to be out until at least November 18th. So, I mean, they're not necessarily the most healthy. They don't have great offense and defense to begin with. Their special teams isn't good. By all accounts, this should be a game where the Red Wings get that first dominating win that I've been talking about. But of course, life's never that simple. And we lost to the Sharks last year in overtime after giving up a 3-goal lead. So anything is possible.
Very much so. Very much so. I mean, yeah, for as much as we've talked about it, again, like they're 5-8-2. It's not like they're 0-15 or whatever. Like they have been able to get some wins, again, mostly due to some really good goaltending. So again, if you can just avoid that, which is obviously significantly easier said than done when you're talking about NHL caliber goaltenders, especially ones that are playing at the caliber that their goaltending situation has. They're in the top 3 in team save percentage. They're like Gibson hasn't been a slouch either when he's played. Like it's been a really, really solid year for them in net. It's just pretty much everything else has been a disaster. So
yeah, Gibson's only played 1 game. He was great in that game too. So I'm
I
wondering
thought
why
it was
he hasn't
3, but yeah. So if he's only played 1 game, I mean, there's been drama surrounding him there for 5 years. They probably should have traded him 3 to 5 years ago. And we have the conversation about whether they are or aren't pretty much every offseason and trade deadline. So
he's played 1. James Reimer played 2, and then they ended up waiving him because he was very bad.
Yeah.
864
he
save
got
percentage.
claimed by someone. I forget who.
The Sabres, which is the team that initially signed him to a PTO, I think. Then they waived him, and then the Ducks picked him up. So back to Buffalo he goes.
Nice.
So, I mean, that probably means Devin Levi, whatever. He's probably going down to the minors for Buffalo, but we'll see on that front. We're not previewing the Buffalo Sabres today. But yes, I think also it's emphasized more that you need to get the 2 points against Anaheim because you play the Kings literally the following day. So you're going to be on the second half of a back-to-back on the road, and you're going to probably be a little bit tired, and you're going to be playing a much better team. So that first 2 points against Anaheim is even more emphasized as important because the Kings are 9-6-3, second in the Pacific Division. Anze Kopitar's got 20 points in 18. Andre Kemp's got 16 in 18. Alex Laferriere, not Alexis Lafreniere, has 15 points in 18. Like their offense is clicking, and they're top 5 in, I believe, expected goals for and Corsi for, shot attempts for, and expected goals for. I'd have to double check on that one. Notably, though, their penalty kill and power play aren't much to write home about. If I'm recalling correctly, they have the 17th ranked penalty kill, and their power play is currently ranked 24th. So this is an area, especially against the Ducks, too, are bottom in both categories, where the Red Wings can make up some ground. And like even if you're not having your best 5-on-5 game, that's something you can capitalize upon, is that you're better on the power play than both of those teams. Now, if only your penalty kill can hold up, because your penalty kill is ranked one of the worst in the league right now. But that's the big F.
Yeah, I feel like the Kings are one of those teams right now where they can just beat you in a lot of different ways. Kind of similar to a jack of all trades, like master of none necessarily. They're really solid across the board, but they don't, there's not one single team statistic that you look at and you go, oh, wow, like this is what they hang their hat on. Like they're just really kind of, borderline top 10 or 12, like across the board. And there's nothing that they're elite in, but they don't need to be because they're really solid at everything. And I think that is a good recipe to beat the Detroit Red Wings is on paper. I think that's a type of team that probably is going to fare pretty well against a team that is built and that has looked like the Wings have looked so far. But That would be a really, really awesome win if the Wings were able to pull that out. That would be a really impressive victory. So I'm hoping.
Yeah. Try to get at least 2. If you can sweep that doubleheader, that back-to-back, even better. But
for
you
sure.
need to
Well,
beat the
yeah,
Ducks
and
first.
then you're because of the order in which the games are played. You're doing Anaheim. You want to start off the road trip with a win. Then you have LA, where like if you win against Anaheim, then it's like, okay, it's the second game of a back-to-back on the road on the West Coast against a better Kings team. Like, you're going to have the odds stacked against you. And if you lose, then you can turn around and you still take 2 points on the weekend, and you can go into the game against the Sharks, and a win there gets you right back to what the bar should have been on the road trip. So
another thing that's working out in your favor too against LA is we talk about how a little bit banged up the Ducks were. The Kings are really banged up.
Yeah.
They have Drew Doughty, who's out until December 4th. Tanner Jeannot, who's suspended until November 16th. Alex Turcotte is out to be until at least November 16th. Darcy Kemper is day-to-day, and Caleb Jones is day-to-day. And notably, Darcy Kemper being day-to-day, if he can't play, I mean, he's your only goalie with a save percentage above 900. David Riddick has an 887 save percentage. Phoenix Copley has a 833. So, like, that's one area that they've struggled with is goaltending. And if their one goaltender if their best goaltender's out,
right,
and you got an opportunity to take advantage there, especially with all the players are hurt. So it's not all impossible to beat the Kings. There's definitely an avenue to success there, but you got to take care of your own business, and that's something the Red Wings have struggled with. Doing better of late. Yeah, take care of your own business. Yeah. Take another quick break. When we return, we'll finish up. We can talk about the FanDuel Sports stuff. We'll talk to you about how that might affect you guys. So stay tuned to segment 3 of Locked On Red Wings. Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Because right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place your live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Segment 3, Locked On Red Wings podcast. All right, Scotty, I mean, you're the journalist, man. You're the capital J journalist. He's a writer. Can you give the people the scoop on the FanDuel sports stuff and how that it may affect them?
Yeah, so did a lot of kind of reading around and getting up to date on this because I talked about it on yesterday's show of Locked On Tigers as well, because it's the same ownership group, and the Wings and the Tigers are both on the FanDuel Sports Network, so it affects obviously both those as well as the Pistons. Everybody but the Lions on FanDuel Sports Network. So
don't forget the World Poker Tour.
Well, of course.
And the British Basketball League.
Dude, if I see another commercial for the British Basketball League.
British Basketball League.
Nice job.
Thanks.
So essentially, like a year ago, there was the first rumor about Amazon absorbing or buying out or making a deal with Diamond Sports, which is the company that owned the rights to Bally and now obviously to FanDuel Sports Network. Same company still in Diamond Sports. And about 6 or 8 months ago, we got a report that Amazon was walking away from the table. They were like, we're done with this. We're like, you guys, the price is completely unreasonable. And by the way, you are bankrupt. Like Diamond Sports is super, super bankrupt. So like, they're like, why? Like what? We don't have, like, we're not going to mess around with this number. Like we have the leverage here. We're walking away. And then after like 6 months, an entire summer of pretty much no news on this front whatsoever, we get a report earlier this week that Amazon Prime Video has received and accepted a deal. I don't know which side accepted, but like they came to an agreement, both sides, with Diamond Sports. So there is no starting date yet. There's no like timeline for when this is gonna take place, but I would imagine it'd be pretty quickly, given again Diamond Sports' current financial situation, which is not very good. I would imagine that the turnaround will be pretty quick. I know they're already starting to talk about deals in early December that will look different than what we're used to. So we'll see if maybe it's a like, you know, turn of the new year type of thing. I'm not really sure. But basically you will be able to watch your Wings, Tigers, Pistons. You will be able to watch the FanDuel Sports Network via Amazon Prime Video going forward. It sounds like the app that FanDuel Sports Network already has is going to stay. The like cable channel, I can't imagine is going anywhere. Like I think all of there's not going to be a ton of change necessarily in the other avenues, but there is going to be a new way to watch. And given the frustration that myself and I know you and thousands of other people have had with the technological side of Bally / FanDuel Sports over the years,
or lack thereof.
Right. And just the frustration that we have had with the app and the streaming services and how often it goes out and everything. I think that most people will welcome a move to FanDuel Sports Network or to Amazon Prime Video. It's still going to cost more. It's not like, oh, you have an Amazon Prime membership, so you just like get it. Like, no, they're still going to get their money. You still got to pay for a subscription, and they got to make sure you're in the correct market and whatnot. But that is essentially the winded rundown.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be, they specified, like you said, an add-on subscription. So what I'm imagining is it's probably going to cost you the same monthly through Amazon Prime to watch as it would just using the FanDuel Sports app. But like you said, the big win here is having a service provider of the streaming service rather that is more reliable and doesn't crash every 5 minutes. And a user interface that makes more sense. Yeah. The downside here is that nothing about the way the broadcast looks is going to change. So like if you didn't like the ticker, it's not going to change. Like it's not going to be Thursday Night Football, which I kind of wish it was, because the Amazon Prime's NHL games that they sometimes do, the production quality on those is superb. I kind of wish they did. I don't know. I have mixed feelings on it. I don't want to make Amazon's already got so much. I hesitate to give them more, but they also do a really good job at production value.
So also, it's like, you know, it could be for those of us who grew up in the DARE program, like it could be a gateway like situation, right? Where it's like later, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Later it could be okay, this is step one, and then, you know, 3 years down the road, we take a little bit more ownership, more and more and more, and then so forth.
And it's going to be just basically a hub. Like it's going to be, you go to Amazon Prime to find your FanDuel Sports Network. Right.
It's another way to watch FanDuel Sports Network. It is still FanDuel Sports Network. It's still owned by Diamond Sports.
Yeah, kind of like how you can watch HBO Max stuff on Amazon Prime. Like it's still HBO Max, but you're just watching it through Amazon Prime.
But
same with
for me, like
High Dive.
I hate the app so much that like
FanDuel.
Correct. The FanDuel Sports app so much that I'll absolutely be going to watch via Amazon Prime Video instead.
Me too. Also, I don't think you explicitly said it either. You mentioned that they're going to start streaming in December. On December 5th, they're going to start offering carte blanche.
Yeah,
games for
$6.99, like $7, and you get an individual game for
that's
anything
crazy.
On the network. Yeah.
First of all, who's going to do that? Like, what? Why would you buy an individual game when the monthly cost of the subscription is $20?
I would imagine that's a gateway situation too, where they're like, "Hey, buy a game and see how it looks," and then okay, well now here's 3 months.
It's like, what? I mean, maybe people will do it. I know, because the Stadium Series game against Columbus is going to be a nationally televised. It won't even be on FanDuel. So I don't know who would buy an individual game for $6.99, but that will be an option starting on December 5th, and you can do it through Amazon Prime as well as through your own app. But I think that about covers it. I think we covered every little angle to this.
Yeah.
So,
Word.
Or you just keep watching on TV.
Yeah. Or you have cable and none of this applies to you, and you just keep watching on the same channel you've been watching on forever.
Or you have other more unscrupulous methods to watch your games, which we don't endorse or condone.
I don't even know what you're talking about.
Exactly, but you can do. Scotty, any final thoughts?
We ball, baby.
We do ball. We'll be back with a new episode on Monday to recap 2 games for you. Same time, same place. It's your team every day.
Every day.